Good evening. And welcome to everyone who's joining us on the internet. As we go through the book, there's basically only one thing we're talking about. And that is making a shift of identification from body to mind. I have pointed out from time to time that body, world, universe, all of the things that you are aware of with and in your mind. It is your mind that is conscious of it all, not your body. It is your mind which is conscious of your body and your home and your world. But you all identify with the body. Mind is ever present, isn't it? As long as you're conscious, it's present. But you give it little attention. You say, I use my mind, in the same way that you would say, I use my hands, as though it's one of many possessions, instead of the ground of your being, the fundamental of your conscious experience of being. Body and mind have both been present in your experience, but you have weighted your attention on the side of your body. There's a good reason. It's really a bad reason, but there's a reason you do this. And that is that when you got your bill of divorcement from the Father, when you said, Father, I'd rather see it my way, and you abandoned the Father's perspective consciously and conscientiously by means of developing your own meanings for everything in your experience, you, as I've said before, lost your conscious experience of oneness with everything. You said, I'd rather see it myself. And you drew a boundary around yourself. And suddenly, all the rest of what you infinitely were became something different from you. Wow. Now, you look and the only thing that's you is the specific identification of you, which has always been, but it was part of the infinitude of you. But now it's all there is of you. And so you had to begin to redefine yourself. And your definition of yourself was built around this one little part of the infinitude of you that you call your body. So you equate yourself with the body. And if this equation is carried to its logical conclusion, you believe that when the body ceases to be alive, you cease to be alive. And so many of you, not that many of you here, but many of you in the world believe that from birth to death is all there is to you. That's how definite and binding your identification with body has become. Now, I'm reminding you that this other thing that's in your experience, called your mind, isn't just another thing. It is an unbounded and therefore infinite presence of mind, presence of conscious awareness in which body, world, and universe is going on. And I keep pointing you in the direction of going through your day, being more aware of yourself as mind, reminding yourself that you are the consciousness in which all conscious experience is occurring, so that you might have the opportunity of having that awareness trigger for you what you would call a reinterpretation of the daily events of your lives. Because depending upon what you're identifying yourself with, your experience of everything will be different. And you all deserve a different experience than the experience of bondage you're presently in. Last week, we spoke, or last time we were together, we spoke extensively about the body being a means of communication. It doesn't exist on its own for itself. It exists as a vehicle for the extension of communication, the extension of meaning, the extension of value with a capital V. At the bottom line, it is the means of your engaging in acknowledging what is true about your brother, your sister, and everything that you see. It is the means you have for recognizing God in each and everything. That is its function. But when you get caught up in preoccupation with the body, you lose its function. You become distracted from extending the acknowledgement of what is real in each and everything. And you have moved into an attitude of self-defense. Because as long as you have no contact with the infiniteness of you, you can only be in touch with the limits of you, the finiteness of you, and consequently your utter vulnerability to everything. So when you are identifying yourself with your body, you are engaged in defense. But you say, I don't feel like I'm engaged in defense. But the simple fact is that when you are preoccupied with yourself as a body, and making it in the world as a body, and earning respect as a body, and learning how to be in charge through force that can be brought to bear by your body, you are not engaged in connection. You are not engaged in extension. You are not engaged in the act of recognizing and acknowledging everything that is real in everything that you're looking at. You're preoccupied with self. If you're not engaged in inclusion of it all, but are engaged in being separate from it all, you are in a state of defendedness. It is that simple. Now, let's go to the book. We ended with the statements, joy is unified purpose, and unified purpose is only God's. When yours is unified, it is His. This means that you will never have, on your own, unified purpose. There's only one thing called unified purpose, and that is God being. And if your purpose is unified, it means there is nothing present blocking or interfering with God's purpose. You are being a transparency for God. So, when yours is unified, it is His. Interfere with His purpose, and you need salvation. Well, that's what's called the human condition. You have interfered with His purpose by having a purpose of your own, by having a purpose of wanting to be able to determine what everything is, to determine how you're going to deal with it, to determine how you're going to defend yourself, to determine how others better behave, and on and on. When you chose to be an authorizer, you chose to ignore the capital A author. And you have interfered in his authority. Now, the fact is, you can't interfere with God's authority. But when you try to insert an authority of your own between you and God's authority, you interfere absolutely with your capacity to experience the Father's authorship. You interfere absolutely with your ability to experience the source of your being, and therefore the reality of you. And, it says here, you need salvation. You have condemned yourself, but condemnation is not of God. Therefore, it is not true. No more are any of the results of your condemnation. What are the results of your condemnation? Sin, sickness, and death. They're not true. They're simply not true. When you see a brother as a body, you are condemning him because you have condemned yourself. In other words, you are seeing him in no larger a way than you are allowing yourself to see yourself. And if you are allowing yourself to see yourself in a larger way, you will automatically include your brother in that larger view. When you see a brother as a body, you are condemning him because you have condemned yourself. Yet, if all condemnation is unreal, and it must be unreal, since it is a form of attack, then it can have no results. But you know what? If you're identifying yourself as a body and someone else is identifying themselves as a body, and the two of you look at each other and see the other as a body, and you all agree to this illusion, you can have a pretty good knockdown, drag out, artificial fight. I say artificial because none of it is real. It's a fantasy that the two of you are playing out with each other, but it isn't real. And the consequences, the apparent consequences of it, cannot be real. And as a result, when one of you breaks the agreement to play this game of fantasy with each other, and one of you remembers the truth, instantaneous healing of the apparent results can occur. Why instantaneous? Because there never was an actual effect that has to be undone. And this is important to understand because it means that no matter what you might be suffering from at this moment, you can experience instantaneous relief without going through some process of healing. Continuing, do not allow yourselves to suffer from the results of what is not true. Free your minds from the belief that this is possible. In its complete impossibility, and your full awareness of its complete impossibility, lie your only hope for release. Remember that in order to break the sense that something impossible is possible, you have to shift from body identification to mind identification. Shifting your attention from the definition of yourself as a body to your conscious experience of being as the definition of you, and abiding there and observing everything from there. Again, in its complete impossibility and your full awareness of its complete impossibility lie your only hope for release. But what other hope would you want? Freedom from illusions lies only in not believing them. There is no attack as an actuality. But there is unlimited communication. But you won't shift into unlimited communication as long as you're identifying yourself as a body. There is no attack, but there is unlimited communication and therefore unlimited power and wholeness. Well, wholeness is a state of invulnerability. It's a state of being what God is being right there where you are, with the awareness that it is God being what you are right there, with God's perspective. There is no vulnerability in that perspective. The power of wholeness is what? Extension. Using the body as a means of communication. Communication of what? Extension of what? The acknowledgement of what is true in what you're seeing. And how do you see what is true there? By abandoning your belief about what is there and asking within of the Father, what are you being there? What is the divine meaning of what I'm looking at? The power of wholeness is extension. Do not arrest your thought in this world, and you will open your mind to creation in God. Extension of the acknowledgement of what is real, which is another way of describing love, is something that will happen through the body. If on the way you become preoccupied with the body, the extension will be arrested. Your attention on that which you're seeing what is real in will be arrested, will be interrupted, because there's an attention being given to the body. Do not arrest your thought in this world or in this body. And what? You will open your mind to creation in God. You will open up your mind to the experience of the extension, of the acknowledgement of what is real, and the joy of the experience of making that extension and in that experience you will find God revealed as your conscious experience of being, and because you will be introducing nothing extraneous to it, you will find yourself being the movement of creation. Let me put it this way. You will find yourself being with the movement of creation, and in being with it, without introducing anything extraneous to it, it will be all there is of you. It is in this way, and this way only, that you become co-creators with God. It's not an independent act you do along with God. It's the absence of independence that allows you to be absolutely at one with God, and therefore experiencing nothing but what God is being. In a way, this is what Paul is doing right now. So don't think that in doing it, you'll suddenly be swept into some nebulous, indescribable experience. What will happen will be that everything you engage in will be infinitely meaningful. And so here and now is the place to start. Do not arrest your thought in this world, and you will open your mind to creation in God. You will experience your body as what it is, not as what you had come to believe it to be. And you will experience your world as what it is, the kingdom of heaven, and not what you had come to believe it to be. The next section is entitled, The Body as Means or End. Attitudes toward the body are attitudes toward attack. Well, let me put it this way, because I know some of you are wondering what in the you know what that means. Attitudes toward the body are attitudes toward attack. If you have an attitude toward the body, your attention has been arrested. You're already preoccupied with something other than making the extension through communication of the acknowledgement of God in whatever it is you're looking at. The acknowledgement of the real capital M meaning of the thing that you're looking at. If you have an attitude toward the body, your attention has already been arrested. And therefore, you are in a defense mode, which is the flip side of saying attack mode. When you're in defense mode, you're defended against something. And just because you're preoccupied with the defense doesn't mean that the opponent isn't there as an integral part of your mindset. Because if the opponent weren't there, you wouldn't be thinking about defense. Oh, but I'm not thinking about attacking anybody. It doesn't matter. If you are busy calculating your defense, being preoccupied with your steps of defense, etc., even though you're thinking of no one in particular, everyone in general is the reason that you're engaged in preoccupation with defense. Again, attitudes toward the body are attitudes toward attack. The ego's definitions of everything are childish and always based on what it believes a thing is for. And of course, when you've gotten your bill of divorcement and said you'd rather see things your way, you have decided what a thing is for, you have adopted it, and you believe your definition. The ego's definitions of everything are childish and always based on what it believes a thing is for. Again, not what it believes a thing is, what a thing is for. This is because it is incapable of true generalizations and equates what it sees with the function it ascribes to it. It does not equate it with what it is. What your body is a means of communication. What creation, your world is the kingdom of heaven, not a physical world and universe that you have defined. But of course, the ego